Welcome back, weary traveler, to the Halloween special of Recorder on the Wall. Oh, wow, that worked really well. Okay. And I'm Pete.
I'm Jeremy.
I am Scars.
And I'm Matthias 720.
Hey, welcome back. I haven't had you on it.
Hey! I'm not dead.
Hooray! He is not dead yet. So yes, we decided to, and I kind of already hinted at this pretty heavily on both Argulalia and the forums, that, surprise, we're not doing a Redwall book. No, we decided to take the latter part of this October off and do something a little bit, shall we say, strange and ghostly. Perhaps 7 times.
And maybe
Are they
tails?
tails? Yeah.
But not spelled
yes,
with an I.
that's a good word for it. Yes, if this isn't already obvious, we are doing one of the 2 short story albums that Brian Jakes did. This one is 7 Strange and Ghostly Tales for Halloween. So, we are stepping away from the Abbey for just 1 episode. And who knows what the future might come if we do his other books. Although I'm not doing the really little kids ones about a bear. I'm just saying that right now.
The Ribbit-Jack and Other Curious Tales.
No, I think it's called Urso. I'd have to actually look at it, but...
Well,
Ursa Brunov.
Yeah, that's
no, I know about that one, but perhaps the Ribbit-Jack would be a good one.
Perhaps. Who knows what the future will bring. So, and to answer the obvious question, and people are wondering, will we get to Castaways of the Flying Dutchman? We just might.
I hope so.
Yeah, me too.
Fingers crossed.
But that's for another time. So, this tome that came out all the way back in the far back year of 1991!
Like,
And
totally radical, dude.
Oh, God. If you want some history of this, kind of going to give it a history of this time frame, only 4 of the Redwall books were out at this point. The original 3 published that he was contracted for, and then, Mariel of Redwall had probably come out by this point. And for also historical reference, I was 7 that year. I turned 7 that year.
I was 1. We.
I was 7 as well. We are old together.
Yay! Oh, my hip!
Ow, my back.
Yeah. So yes, this was quite some time ago. And yes, things were totally radical.
And possibly bodacious.
And neon. Lots of neon.
Yes.
Jeremy and I just covered on the other cast a relic of that time of Tiny Toons, their made-for-TV movie. So,
that one.
Yes, that one.
I
actually started to feel sorry.
Oh, sorry.
I started to feel sorry for Plucky Duck in that, but he's a story for another day.
I remember watching, I don't remember what VHS tape it was, but there was a preview for that special, and it was like, that was always the hokiest thing, even back when I was like 7. Movie.
But unfortunately, this one has no chainsaw wielding maniac we can make a parody of.
No.
Okay, so let's get into this. This book is, well, it's not as for a youngest set, but it's, I I'd venture it's maybe just a little younger than the intended audience of Redwall. It's easy reading for an adult, so, going through this. It's only about 100 and, how many pages?
37.
Thank you.
Yeah, 137.
And it's one of the few Brian Jakes properties you cannot get ebook. So I actually had, and my local library did not have it, so I had to buy this. So
I was able to get it from my library, and the copy looks vintage.
Mine's new. It's new. So
Yeah, I bought mine online. I had definitely heard of it before this, but yeah, I never owned it. I think I remember when I first saw it, I was like, oh, this looks kind of neat, and then I looked at, I think like the age range was like, the recommended age range was below mine at the time, so.
What? This is for kids? I am not reading this.
Well, to be fair, when you're in like junior high school or high school, that sometimes you go through that stage of like, well, this is for little kids. I don't want this stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't want to be in touch with your inner 7-year-old? Come on.
My inner 7-year-old tells me I need to eat more sugar.
My inner 7-year-old has a restraining order against me.
Wait, what? I have several questions, Jeremy.
I don't want to ask any questions.
But yeah, the artwork on the I'm moving on from that disturbing point. The artwork here is, since it's on Redwall, and we actually kind of rarely talk about the covers of the Redwall books. We may need to change that. It depicts the second one, the Jamie and the Vampire, at least the one I've got. And as horror stories go, I mean, yeah, it's for kids. I was only genuinely kind of like put off by, there was something that was absolutely scary, but the only one that was like genuinely kind of unsettling for me was the first one and maybe the third. So, but in both cases, both of these kids had it coming. I mean, they genuinely did.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. There's a couple of these stories where I'm like, maybe if I was a kid, I think I was supposed to sympathize or associate with a couple of the kid characters. But, like, in the first story, I was totally on the side of the security guard.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed. Maybe that just means we're old.
Maybe.
Well,
yeah,
I mean, good stories can be written where a kid can be totally feel for one character, and then as you grow up, you start realizing the adults have really good reasons for why they feel. I'll take the easiest example I can think of is Mrs. Doubtfire. It's a good movie, don't get me wrong. And as a kid, I definitely felt most for, well, Ron Williams' character, because he's dad, he just wants to be with his kids. I mean, who can't understand that? But as an adult, I look at that and I feel for the mom. I genuinely do. Because she's the only adult in the room. So here, yeah, there is elements of that. Do I like the security guard in the first story? Yes. And we're going to get to the mom of the second one, but I totally get where she's coming from, too.
Well, okay, I get where she's coming from to a degree, but she's turned up to, you've heard the term turned up to 11? She's turned up to 57. She's turned up to 111, okay?
Yeah.
We're going to get to her. Let's go ahead and address these. First one is the fate of Thomas P. Can, who knows? We don't have Katie. Oh, God. Yeah, okay, Con it is. So, because Jeremy had to do that.
It's a requirement.
So we're told about this story takes place in that week between Christmas and New Year's, when no one really does much of anything. Most years. I mean, yeah, if you have a job, you're going to do that job, but that's kind of a quiet week for everybody. So,
except for the parents that have to return toys back to the store because little Johnny or Susie didn't like it, and they have to get more batteries for their gameplay console handheld thing.
And the poor unfortunate people that work in retail that have to deal with all those returns.
Yo!
What do you mean? I still have
flashbacks to GameStop.
I know.
My Xbox
Jeremy,
broke. Yeah, yours and everybody else's.
Jeremy worked at GameStop. I worked in more general retail, fine jewelry, actually, for 2 Christmases. That was fun.
Yeah, I have to say, day after Christmas is significantly worse than Black Friday. Black Friday is just a very busy day. Day after Christmas is people returning things, most of them not having receipts. That's not fun.
Yep. And when it comes to fine jewelry, I just have to. I could just start laughing at that because it's just like, no, I'm not going to take your diamond back without documentation.
Yeah.
So, the first story, it takes place in that week of Christmas, and we first are introduced to a security guard, Mr. Boston. Yes. And he is a poor, overworked janitor / security guard whose job it is to keep graffiti off the, British Museum. And he has a nemesis, Middlechester Museum, the Phantom Snake.
My first thought was, is this like a vigilante reincarnation of Asmodeus?
Sorry, all I can think of when I hear Phantom Snake is, if for anyone who's played Deus Ex Human Revolution, one of the main characters you interact with has a fanfic alter ego called Nuclear Snake.
Oh, I must have missed that part.
And he sends this whole TV pitch where it's like, oh, there's this character who he's a hero from the sidelines, and he uses his brains for good. And it's like, nobody wants that. Everyone wants an edgy, troubled hero. And it's like, yes, you're talking about Adam Jensen. Yes, we get it.
With the whole Phantom Snake thing, I don't know whether I should make a Metal Gear joke or a Phantom Menace joke. But I'm not going to make either. Actually,
why not both?
There actually is the Phantom Pain with a character named Snake, so...
So we find out very quickly
the security guard is really Hideo Kojima.
We find out the Phantom Snake very quickly is this dick of a child. And, yeah, he's 13. We're all dicks at that age. Named Thomas P. Kahn. Because we're going to honor Jeremy's joke here.
Thomas P. Kahn!
And,
he's a punk.
That's putting it mildly. That really is putting it mildly. I mean, he admits that other 13-year-old boys he knows were also doing this, but they got caught, and he's a lot more clever to do this. And this kid is prepared. Not only does he carry artist instruments around with him the entire time, he has pre-made stickers.
He has multiple, markers and things. Like, he's got a red one for this occasion and a black one for that occasion.
He's
stickers!
He's the Hannibal Lecter of taggers. He's just
I like
there.
to
He's very
enjoying a nice root beer.
He's just there calculating, okay, if I do this and then this, yes, this will give me exactly what I want. No one can catch me.
I marked her statue with a marker, and then I went out for root beer and French fries.
Hello, Mr. Dawson.
Well, that unfortunately doesn't go that direction, because I'd actually start laughing at that. We just find out most of the story is just Thomas and his misadventures. He doesn't start in the museum, he starts in a mall, essentially. Totally, he's in a mall.
Of course, dude.
Whatever.
Hey, it's the 90s, we can do that, unironically.
Just as long as he's not, on a skateboard.
Oh, God.
Don't have a cow, man.
Oh, wow. He kind of is Bart Simpson, isn't he?
No, Bart Simpson would have gotten away with this.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for that meddling Anubis.
Well, we're getting to him. So
spoilers.
He runs around the mall and defacing various things, and actually puts his sticker on the back of a one of the two women, and they figure it out. And then he runs from them. Well, mall security chases him. And it's kind of it's boring. I'm like, yeah, okay, mall security, okay. So, and then he ends in the mall self-service cafeteria, and okay.
And then his greatest challenge appears, and he's like, oh, I'm totally going to stick it to that security guard again because they have a new Egyptian exhibit at the museum.
I knew it! Ancient Egypt!
My nemesis.
Ancient Egypt is our bad guy here. So, Thomas goes into the museum, and he follows the tour group, and we hear about how all the different gods, including Anubis, the god of the dead. I wonder. So yes, he runs around the museum and he defaces things here and there, and for the most part, yeah, everything we read about his graffiti it's annoying but mostly harmless. Comes off with soap and water, except we're actually told in the very beginning he actually defaces a painting directly, which the museum actually has to spend considerable resources to have it restored. So, yeah, I'm not feeling sorry for this kid.
Nope, not at all.
No.
So, yes. He basically runs around the museum a lot, and has the bright idea of, so he doesn't get caught by Mr. Boston, who is pretty much onto him by this point.
Yep.
He hides into it past closing.
Yeah, well, it's partially past closing. It's more of, it looks like Boston actually shuffles everybody out and then locks the front door.
Like, I don't think you, kid.
Yeah, I don't get the feeling that Thomas saw this coming, saw the door shutting coming. He's like, oh, that's all right. I'll still make my escape. Oh, that door's shut too. I see you running out of rooms.
And we can't and he's not going to do the room gag from Scooby-Doo, because that would be fun. So,
anyone got a slide whistle?
If it was Scooby-Doo, you'd have to accompany it by a light, upbeat, easy-listening jazz big band sort of thing.
Oh, that would have been fun.
Well, I'm pretty sure when that last door gets shut, Thomas goes, "Row-row."
Yes. Pretty much.
Yep, and
however,
he runs out of rooms to go to, and then eventually thinks he's made his escape.
Except that,
and suddenly, something that was mentioned earlier is Phantom Snake is just an anagram of Thomas P. Kahn's name, and suddenly he gets trapped and mummified and pretty much murdered. And reading this part, I was like, okay, if I was still a kid, this totally would have freaked me out. Now, as an adult, I'm like, yeah, this kid got what it was coming to him.
I mean, I'm not a fan. You know, he's murdered, so, but
yeah.
And I won't say he hasn't done anything worthy of murder. But when you pick a fight with the god Anubis, well,
yep. And we find out that Boston is an anagram for Anubis. Dun dun dun.
Surprise reveal.
And, yep. Not really, because the now revealed Anubis is just basically, okay, I'm offering this sacrifice to Pharaoh and Ra and all these other Egyptian things. So yeah. So Thomas, you have fun with that. Say hi to the ferryman of the River Styx for me.
Yep.
Oh, not River Styx.
And then at the very end,
yeah.
Mr. Bosun has taken loving care to scribble the message: Phantom Snake rules no more. Bosun is Anubis.
Dun dun dun.
And like I said, this was the only one that put me off just a little because it's a 13-year-old kid getting his end, ugly end, but kind of a dick.
I don't feel sorry for him.
The only thing I felt was just like, oh, yeah, I see what's coming. right near the beginning, after the whole Phantom Snake is Thomas P. Kahn, I wrote down in my notes, Brian loved his anagrams, Phantom Snake indeed. And then, a little later on, it was like, hang on, anagrams? Oh, Brian, you joker, I see what you're doing. And after the reveal, ha! I knew it.
Well, unfortunately, there is really no good version of Good Guy HR, so Matthias can't sue. Now, if this had been a vermin who had been an anagram, we'd be different.
Yeah,
so.
That's all right. Of these, well, there's another annoying. There's like another bad kid in these, but let's just say I think Thomas P. Kahn is the Fleet Scud of this book.
Oh.
Aww.
Yeah,
if it's not Redwall, I will still make fun of Fleet Scud.
Yeah, well, I still very vermin in HR. I'll allow it. So.
Ashleg's in the back.
Really
Like, sounds like not my problem.
So yeah, down to the second one, which is we actually get a riddle. Yay!
It's vampire.
This is the Brian Jakes we know. Oh,
you spoiled it. Come on, man.
This is actually pretty clever. So it's just a common riddle where you have to figure out what the letters are from the language. So something that pretty much fits in with his style. We don't get a lot of songs here, but
no,
we do get riddles.
This riddle does make me think of. I swear there's at least one or two riddles in Redwall that's similar to this.
Oh yeah, this pops up a number of times. The first one that comes to mind for me is the Damson Plum riddle song from. It's been so long. Was that Marl Fox? I think that might have been Marl Fox.
I don't remember.
So
yes. The second one is Jamie and the Vampires. And this just is an average kid who doesn't really like his mom. We're going to get to her in a minute. And he's got a group of friends who are kind of, what you do in those days. You dare each other to do stupid stuff because you're stupid. You're a kid.
Because we totally found we totally found a vampire tomb. You gotta check this stuff out, man.
What have you been smoking? Yes. Actually, there's no drunk except for the drunk uncle later on. But
yeah, we'll get there.
There's not. Yes. So the second one is just Jamie, who's got she's a lovely woman. So.
Yeah, she's got. This is like I'm getting flashbacks now to what was the shrew wife from the Redwall from Legend of Luke that we just covered. Except worse. Actually,
Jeremy, my mind ran to your version of Jason's mom.
I was just thinking that. Well, Jason, yeah. Jamie, don't you dare jump over that hedge. Come back here this minute. Keep out of the flower bed. What did your father tell you only last night? Keep out of the flower bed. Why can't you walk down the path like any other perfectly normal human being I'll never know?
You did that so well.
I'm scared and want to go home now.
That is the true terror of this podcast, is my imitation of the stereotypical Jewish mother.
Oh no, the flashbacks, they're coming. Oh no.
So, Jamie and his two friends, Kellyanne and who's the third guy? Monahan. Yeah, we're going with Monahan. They find a vampire's tomb, and their proof that it's a vampire is it's from Hungary, and it's got a bat in the bas relief, and there's a dead bat outside. Huh? Really? I mean, you can't do better than this. I mean.
Well, I mean, if any other reasonable person looked at that and was like, "No, it's not Hungary, it's Transylvania." It's like, come on, what are you, batty?
Oh. I mean, I hate to put it this way, but I would rather run to either the Hotel Transylvania, Drac, and those movies are fun. I'm not denying they're not. Or I'm going to even give Stephenie Meyer more credit here, because that's actually her version of vampires, terrible as they may be, fit more within the lore here.
I don't know. I'm pretty
That's
sure the character we're going to be meeting in a little bit in this mini story could boss around every single vampire in that book. In those books.
I'd actually pay money to watch that.
That just walks in during one of those terrible movies and be like, "What are you doing? Come back here! Stop fighting with the werewolves."
Yeah. So, this is one of the. I won't say it's the shorter one. I didn't really check the page lengths, but
this one was shorter for me because I just started skipping the mother's dialogue.
Well, basically, Jamie and his two friends, they dare him to sit at the vampire's tomb during the day and then later at midnight. And Jamie gets the bright idea. He accepts both dares, and it's the double dog dare.
Bum, bum, bum.
Something straight out of A Christmas Story. Only British. And, yeah, he totally is down with the whole, I'm going to sit outside this vampire tomb for 10 minutes at midnight. And
it's a tad cliche, but it's pretty on point for a childhood dare, just saying.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, we all did stupid stuff like this as kids.
Yep.
So, I mean, they're not even desecrating anything, which is good. I'm saying I would endorse that. It's pretty harmless what they're asking him to do. So,
yeah.
Hey,
And he actually gets the better of them, too, the first time.
Yeah, I started laughing because he knows a lot about makeup, apparently. Anyone else notice this? Like, he actually knows what he's doing when he assembles his disguise kit to make him look like a thrall of a vampire, zombie, whatever.
Yep. He even tricks the real vampires.
He probably just helps his mother a lot. You gotta help me with my makeup!
And
help me with my mascara.
He makes himself up pretty well, like any quality monster movie. And then, hey, that vampire tomb he's sitting right next to totally opens, and there's a kid vampire there. Huh? There's something you don't see every day.
She tries to bite him,
and
then Vampire Mommy shows up and goes, "What are you doing?
Really
trying
hard.
to bite his neck? He's all dirty. You're gonna get an infection. Come on, he's already been bitten. Leave him alone. And you stop him making an impression on my young son." Blah! And they go back in, and boy, that scares him more than anything because he runs away, and the other two kids hear him going, "Just like my mother. Just like my mother. Just like my mother."
I thought he was more laughing than he's not scared.
I think he he was scared.
He was unhinged. It's just like, it's just like my mother, just like my mother, just like my mother.
Yep.
Yeah, so little vampire kid has a mom, and she's exactly the same as Jamie's overbearing mother.
Yep.
So
that's terrifying.
It's a universal truth.
Universal?
Yeah.
Okay. That's, I mean, it's more funny than disturbing, and I admit I laughed when the big reveal came, and I'm like, okay, that works. That leads us to story 3.
Ali
Oma. Yeah. And, lady who's a kleptomaniac and split personality. Apparently. I wouldn't go that far, but it's close. She admits that this is a Alma Budley, so we're just going to call her Alma or Allie here. That, she doesn't hate her given name and wants to be called Allie, and, but Allie herself is a total kleptomaniac and likes collecting trophies.
And then messing with the people she's stolen from by consoling them, be like, "I'll help you find it. Oh, I'm so broken up that you've lost this thing." I'm like, okay, something terrible is going to happen to this kid.
I mean, especially if you're going to steal from geriatrics. I mean, come on, that's like the worst thing you could do.
Yeah.
Seriously. It's like, I don't want you stealing from my grandmother. I mean, if you want to steal from your grandmother, that's on you. But, you know, I like my grandmother. I like her cookies. I don't want to be written out of the will. Thank you very much.
A fair point. And, yeah, so the story literally begins. We see Allie steal a pretty valuable ring from an old lady. It's diamonds and rubies. I'm like, that ain't cheap. Again, someone who sold jewelry for a living. Diamonds and rubies are one of the two of the 4 stones classified as precious, which means the price goes up. So, yeah. Kind of a jerk thing to do, kid. And she also consoles her and helps her find it, but no. Totally. I totally stole it. What am I going to do with this? Huh. Yeah, we never work out what she actually does with her trophies.
No.
No.
Well, she ends up visiting an elderly German lady who tells a, 4-page long story.
I ended up
I do
skipping
want to
that.
address that.
That was wow.
Well, she doesn't visit her. She's assigned because she apparently is part of a community center outreach for volunteers to help the elderly, and there's a German immigrant living in England from the time of World War II. And I actually went back and looked up when Jakes was born. He was alive during World War II, but he was born in '39. So it's hard. We honestly will never know how many memories he had of it, because by the time he was old enough to start making memories, it would have been like 42, 43. So on the way out, maybe it's arguably he had some, but he wasn't as old as this talky German woman in the story. But yeah, I kind of found it really interesting that for a British man, he's writing from the German point of view here for that war.
Mm-hmm.
And if I could step away from the comic for a second, yeah, guys, if you've never actually looked up the history of World War II, yeah, Allies kind of bombed civilian areas. We kind of killed people that had nothing to do with the military. So we have this whole memory string of Mrs. Strubin, who is basically remembering the bombing of her cities, and it's actually kind of like unsettling to read because yeah, this happened.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's one of the reasons I skipped it. It's just like, on the one hand, it's long. On the other hand, it's really depressing to read, and it's like I'm looking for the spook and the spoop, and just I'm not looking for history. I'm looking for a good time, and this is bringing me down, man. Aww.
Well, the short version. Mrs. Strubin was told that her uncle, Wolfgang, back in Germany, made her this tiny toy egg. It took considerable time here that basically showed the family in miniature, like on the interior. So not quite a Fabergé egg, but certainly something a person would keep precious, especially if it survived the war.
Mm-hmm.
And we have this story how her cousin, Wolfgang's daughter, Helga, was insanely jealous of this, because all she received from her own father was a pair of handed of slippers that the guy made himself.
Mm-hmm.
And that's still a pretty good gift. I mean, if your father during wartime is going out of his way for that. So, but Helga was jealous to the point that even when they're running from bombs, that that Mrs. Strubin drops the egg and her cousin Helga goes to get it back so she can have it. Or at least that's the implication.
Well, she gets it all right.
And then we find out Helga died in the bombing. But not from any bomb. So, or at least allegedly. She dies apparently from kind of the shock of the bombing.
Mm-hmm.
But for a teenager to have a heart attack like that is rare. Not impossible. I've worked in schools where in their annals of history that happened. like if someone has heart conditions, but pretty rare. But keep that in mind, because by the time we get back, Allie stole the egg.
Yep. And she goes through her usual song and dance of, oh, I'll help you find it. And eventually the old lady's like, pretty sure you stole it. And she's like, well, I'll go alert the police about it. And she's like, no, don't talk to the police. And she's like, well, we'll figure it out. And she leaves and laughs to herself and goes to sleep and dreams or suddenly is in that bombing. And the next thing we know, everyone's like, man, such a shame that this poor Alma died from a heart attack in her sleep.
Yeah.
I just want to point out...
Well, actually... Go ahead.
Okay. I just want to point out the fact that Mrs. Struben doesn't want the police involved because, well, as a German immigrant, I'm sure she feels that the local law enforcement wouldn't exactly treat her kindly due to her heritage. So she's just like, don't involve anybody. I don't want to, lose my home, the only place I have to live right now.
There's also... Allie even works out for herself. Someone who grew up in Nazi Germany with all of any secret police organizations they had. Yeah, uniformed people may not have been the best people to hang around for exactly that. So, but yeah, I want to also point out, Allie is volunteering to call the police. Like, okay, like they're totally gonna suspect you, kid.
Well, she might not actually call the police, or maybe she assumed the old lady would tell her not to. Or maybe, and also we found like this is a pattern for her, maybe she has done it before and knows how to get away with it.
Entirely possible, but her, bleh.
Yeah.
She struck dead, essentially. This egg is, I guess, cursed? So... who knows?
Maybe it's like the one that just wants to get back to its owner, Mrs. Struben.
Yeah, we'll go with that.
One egg to rule them all.
Sorry, made me laugh. Oh, okay. I'm gonna make an omelet. No. So that leads to the fourth story, The Lies of Henry Maudsley. And I don't necessarily feel sorry for this kid. I feel sorry for the devil.
Yeah. Wow, that was evil even by my standards. No take-backs.
Yeah, Jeremy and I, when we were reading this, we both ran into the robot devil out of Futurama, because that is literally what I was reminded of. With this poor devil he's trying to hook this kid, and this kid is either incredibly brilliant in his own right or incredibly stupid, and I'm not sure which.
Yeah. Funnily enough, I was actually listening to the song Sympathy for the Devil while reading this.
So, the old base plot is that there's this really kind of dumb kid who is a compulsive liar, and he literally doesn't know... He literally is not exactly the smartest kid around in school by choice. He could... It's kind of... I kind of read it that if he really applied himself, he could be learning things he just doesn't like to. So.
Is it he's lazy, or that he's too clever for his own good? I'd argue it could be either.
I think he thinks he's too clever for his own good.
I would say column A and column B. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But, yeah, this kid is just a flat-out liar, and he runs into the devil.
And the devil goes...
which is not Ned Flanders.
Yep.
So.
And he goes, pleased to meet you, Henry. Hope you guess my name. Oh, wait, I give you my name. It's Nick Lucifer. Wow, real subtle, dude.
So, and, yeah. And Henry doesn't actually... I don't know that he ever, realizes the devil till he's actually in the devil's office.
No.
But I don't think he cares.
No. He's like, man, this is strange. You have hooved feet. And horns. And there seems to be a lot of fire around us.
So the devil basically explains, and he has to kind of do this multiple times where he get the kid like where he wants him to be. Like, okay, I'll give you a week and you can be anything you want out of this deal for that 1 week, and then I get your soul and everybody's happy, right? Help us! Oh, it's burning down here. Shut up. So, and it's almost, it is comedic that he gets to, like, explain how this keeps working to this arguably stupid child. And he keeps getting angrier and angrier, and I kept waiting for, like, the next thing we see is the path to hell opens up, and it's straight out of a cartoon where he's physically kicked out and lands like 10 feet away.
It's like, Bart, stop pestering Satan.
Pretty much.
It's that pop slide whistle sound effect where it just accompanies as he's whistling through the air, it suddenly skids on his bottom, bounces a couple times, gets up, brushes off his pants, and I was like, well, that's rude.
Something like right out of the Animaniacs cartoon where they meet the devil.
That was an episode. I forgot about that.
Yes, it was. It's actually one of the better ones, just watching that happen.
They drive him insane.
To the point he kicks him all the way into heaven. So.
Yep. And so Henry is now like, great, now everyone will believe my lies, and like many other stories like this at first.
That's what you want?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And found out, like many other stories like this, at first he's like, this is really cool, and eventually he gets to the point of I really hate this. And eventually it seems less of people believe his lies and more of he has total control over every single person.
Oh my God, yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I mean, he calls a guy a stupid baboon, and the guy starts going like, woo, 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 woo.
You know, it kind of reminded, honestly, my brain ran to the dream sequences in the movie A Christmas Story. It's like he's literally living that out. It's not a dream. He can pretty much define his own world. So
he's lucid dreaming, but he's awake.
What a tweet.
God. No. Do not bring up M. Night Shyamalan and the Devil. I am not going back to that movie.
Wait, what? Oh, right. He did a movie called Devil. I forgot about that. Sorry, I tend to forget about movies that don't mean anything.
No, I appreciate that. So, I also love the fact that he convinces his mom he's got a completely disease he made up on the spot. He's
like, the only cure are donuts and cheeseburgers and more cowbell.
Goody is the disease, and the only cure is, sweets.
Yeah, goodylaccosis. It's like, yes, sweetie-itis. Yes, that's what I have.
The only cure is Goody Stickle and her cooking.
So what you're telling me is he's Chib the Robin.
Yes, he needs candy chestnuts. Stat.
Just stuffs him right in his face. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, this is terrible. You need to give me more.
Are you feeling better? Corn Dave.
So it gets to the end of the 7 days, and Devil comes back to recollect. And here. Okay. Hi, Archangel Gabriel. Where did you come from? Because he shows up too. And Gabriel's like, hey, about that signature, that's not blood like you made him sign in originally. That's port wine. What?
He tricked you into signing with wine. And,
the Devil kind of does one of those double takes. He looks down, looks up. It's like, what? Well, he still signed it. Well, and then Gabriel's like, yeah, about that. Kid, come here. Sign your name a couple times for me. See, he can't do it repeatedly in the same way. So, yeah, Ivan's going to declare this contract in void. So, yeah, thank you. Come again. You lose. Good day, sir.
Good day, sir.
Yep. Never make a deal with the devil unless you wanted a donut. I'd sell my soul for a donut.
And here comes the M. Night Shyamalan plot twist. And here's just what I'm not sure if this kid is deliberately stupid or he's accidentally brilliant. Because Gabriel looks down and he's like, because the kid keeps signing his name and then it is repeatable and he can sign perfectly. And it's like, so this kid just outlied the devil.
Mm-hmm.
Huh. So.
And I like it too, the way Lucifer leaves is he just goes, and bites down on his tail and then disappears.
Yeah. So that's the end of that, and it's like, okay. Unfortunately, we didn't get a musical number.
No. That's on level 4 of Robot Hell.
Oh. Okay.
So next is Bridgie.
And this one's... I mean, it's fine. You can kind of see where the story's going to go.
Mm-hmm. I thought the kid was actually going to get turned into a duck.
Oh, that would have quacked me up.
Didn't.
Yeah. I'm sure it would have.
That is about on par with mine of, oh, is this a Bridgie over troubled water?
Okay, Jeremy, you take the lead for this one. I'm out.
Bye.
No, I won't going anywhere. I'm just going to let you guys talk about it.
Can't take the punishment. So, Bridgie is a little girl that likes to talk to ducks and a creature in a pond that is called something that I totally remember, and I'm totally not stalling by looking in the book right now.
The Grimblet.
The Grimblet. And
unfortunately, the Gloomer was copyrighted, so yeah, we couldn't do that.
This is the Gloomer's uncle. And we find out that she really likes ducks and is friends with them, and they like her, and she has an abusive drunk uncle because that seems to be an ongoing thing of some of the adults in this series of stories are evil. And the drunk uncle constantly yells at her to make his food and do all of his chores, and he's like, I'm going to go drink, and I'm not as you think as I drunk you are.
And this is one of those famous stories where the parents are dead, and the custody of the child passes to a terrible substitute parent that happens to be an aunt or uncle. So.
Oh, and he's constantly threatening to scalp her hide from her bones, and I thought, it's like, isn't that something only badger moms are supposed to be able to do?
Yeah, that was something in Redwall where it's like, I'll scalp your tails. And so he's like, you're just going to eat potatoes and something. And it's like, I get all the bread and all the honey. And she's like, but I want the honey too. And so she takes honey and bread down to the lake and accidentally drops a whole jar of honey into the lake. And she's like, oh no, when my uncle gets home, he's going to be, he's too drunk to notice anything. And he passes out, and she goes outside and falls asleep by the water talking to the ducks and the Grimblet. And then all of a sudden the uncle wakes up and is very, 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 very angry and comes out, and all of a sudden the ducks attack. And I start to wonder if Jakes was attacked by swans and ducks when he was a kid, because between the swans and Mossflower and Legend of Luke being like scary monsters and these ducks like swarming and beating the heck out of this dude, yeah, they seem to be like unstoppable beasts in his books.
Well, at least we know he wasn't winging it.
Maybe somebody should have shouted, "Duck!"
Oh, that pun was simply foul.
When I looked at this book, at first I just took a beak.
Well, you know what they say about birds of a feather.
Well, eventually he gets pulled into the lake and makes quite a splash.
Yes.
Yeah, so the ducks fight him, and eventually he starts fighting back, and Bridgie's like, Grimblet, please help us. And dude gets swallowed by the lake. And that's the end of him. And it's a pretty happy ending of, she's like, I get to live at peace with all my ducks, and we get to eat good food, and don't worry, Grimblet, I'll get you some honey to get rid of the nasty taste of my crazy evil uncle.
I'm still alive.
No, you're not.
Yeah, pretty much that.
Yeah, that is some troubled water.
Served him right, though.
Yeah, no, that's a happy ending in my book. And in this book.
And then we get to a actual ghost story in this collection of 7 strange and ghostly tales.
Yep.
So
The sad history of Gilly Bodkin.
Gilly Bodkin? Isn't he the one from down the line?
You sound like you're from England.
Sorry,
I am so sorry to all of our British listeners.
I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry.
Yeah, it's all in jolly good jest.
Again, I am sorry for our British listeners.
Oh, should I start doing Mary Poppins?
No. No, you are not doing your best from the Dick Van Dyke School of Cockney accent.
What about Sherry Bobbins?
No. So the short version is that a peasant kid named Gilly Bodkin, basically he's never had candy in his life because it's really only for the rich in the late 17th century.
Yep.
So.
And we get another story of child beating.
Pretty much. Because he basically his parents don't even let him go out and have apples that are part of the local squire / lord's property because it's effectively stealing from him. To the point that they beat him for it. And it's like, oh God.
Yep.
Yeah.
And
so one of the local squire is traveling down the road with his wife and 4 daughters, and the mom takes away basically a candy stick away from her ungrateful child, who's had way too much sugar already, and tosses it out the window.
And so little Gilly Bodkin is like, yay, sugar! And, oh, that horse is bucking, and, oh dear. Yeah, he kind of gets his head kicked in by the horse, and that's kind of the end of that.
I'm sorry, I did not order myself a new hat in the shape of a horseshoe. No, that's not a fashion statement I want to make.
Yeah, and probably the most distressing part of this is the squire's reaction to one of his people who works for him, this poor father having to cradle his dead son. It's like, oh, that happened.
He's more distressed because he's covered in mud.
Yeah, that his trousers have been ruined. Like, okay, well, you've got one less mouth to feed. I want you to work a special week in my barn so to pay off the cost of this fabulous outfit. And the father takes this way too well. One of his children was just killed in an accident that was preventable. And effectively, for lack of the Lord is effectively indirectly responsible for. I mean, if we're going by Braveheart standards, yeah, there have been wars fought over this kind of thing. So, and even the mom's like, she's upset, but she's just like, there's nothing we can do. And from that point, I mean, when the kid wakes up, he's a ghost and doesn't realize he's a ghost.
Oh, quick! Gotta find Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray.
Well, it's the 17th century, so
gotta find Dan Aykroyd and Bill Murray's great grandparents.
Don't you mean William Murray with an E at the end? Ye olden time spectre catcher.
We have not fear of specters.
So, as a ghost, he can't get home and he can't figure out why, but he can stay on his grave safely. And 300 years go by. Yeah.
And
until
all he wants is candy.
one of the descendants of the four terrible daughters, this family visits England because apparently this said daughter came over to America, and one of the four daughters like, here, oh, you want a sugar stick? Here you go.
Yep. And
he's just like, this is the worst thing I've ever had. I'm out.
That's it. This just in, 300-year-old ghost of kid satisfied with candy. More at 11.
I've been waiting 300 years for this. Why? This is terrible.
Why didn't you bring a pixie stick?
No. And that's it.
Yep.
Candy satisfies as a ghost. I should write a D&D campaign like that, especially with...
I don't know. It made me think of the live-action Casper movie where they're like, ghosts can't move on until they get done with their unfinished business. And he completed his unfinished business and got some candy. And yes, I remember a plot point from the 1995 Casper movie.
Yeah. So, that's story 6.
Yep.
And story 7 arguably has a ghost, but we're gonna get to that. This is the weirdest one.
Yeah, this one kind of makes no sense.
No, I loved it. What are you talking about?
I mean, I liked it too, but it's we're not really told what this strange unknown boy is that solves the bully problem.
Well, I thought it was kind of obvious, but we can talk about that after we finish.
Please.
Okay.
No, you go. No. Actually, Matthias, why don't you take the lead on this one?
Okay. So we got a kid, military brat, who is moving around with his father until his dad gets reassigned to a place where he's like, no, Jonathan, you're not going to be coming with me. It's far too dangerous. I'm going to send you to live with your aunt and uncle, who now live in your grandfather's old place. Oh, he had the same name as you. And you're going to go to the school that he went to, where he was head prefect in 1902 to 1903. Wow. Aren't you special?
I'm going to Hogwarts. Oh. I'm not going to Hogwarts.
I guess he isn't special enough. Sorry. Anyway, so his last name is Coleman, Coleman, but the local bullies start calling him Coleman, Coalman, and it's like they treat him like he's some dirty coal miner, and if he doesn't give them money, they're going to make him smudge his face all dirty like an old coal miner would, and that seems to be their modus operandi: extort money out of kids and to keep them from getting bullied, or issue out punishments to those who won't pay. So Jonathan meets this girl who she's being forced to sing Christmas carols. Turns out her name is Kate. Is it Kate? Looking through. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And she makes friends with Jonathan, and she's like, I don't have any money either, but I think the best way to fight them off is to simply not give them anything. Peaceful rebellion. Eventually they'll get bored and they'll move on to easier targets. And so he's game to go on with that, except that this trio of bullies just doesn't quite know when to quit. But then something strange happens. Jonathan begins to see this strange kid, really friendly, bright-looking guy who bears a strangely striking resemblance to himself. So he follows him around one day after class, and whenever he gets to where he last saw the kid's gone, but then he sees him again further down the path and eventually disappears, doesn't see him anywhere. Time passes. The trio of bullies continues with their antics until they eventually get this strange note promising, I'll give you £10 for the Coleman and another 10 for the Caroler if you promise to leave us alone. Be at the back of the hut on the sports field tomorrow night at 11. Jonathan Coleman. It's like, well, I mean, it probably could have come from him, except, wait, he was homesick yesterday. He didn't go to school at all. So, who was this kid? Jonathan Coleman, giving out notes, promising to pay money. Anyway, the bullies show up at night, thinking themselves ever so clever for standing on the roof of the little sports hut, making sure that no adults can sneak up on them and catch them for their wrongdoings. But this kid shows up and suddenly is transforming into an old man with a black frock coat, 8-button waistcoat underneath, and a gold pocket watch? What? And he seems to summon out of nowhere a freak breeze that raises up the entire hut with 2 of the bullies on the roof, screaming and holding on for dear life as they're blasted into the stratosphere. He gives the remaining bully money and says, "Vile creature, groveling wretch, take the price of the misery you have caused." And then promptly goes away, leaving the boys to crash down, get knocked out, and her to be basically scarred for life, never to return to the school again because they are all either injured or insane.
And nothing of value was lost.
We're told the next day by the basically the principal is like to it also was simply like, yeah, they were struck by lightning and they were in hospital, so yeah, that happened. But no one can be on school property after hours.
That's what they got in trouble for. It's like,
well, and the fact that they're injured badly, that badly injured from being tossed in the air by a freak storm and lightning strikes.
Yep.
So,
like, let this be a lesson to the rest of you. Don't come here at night, or else you'll get horrifically injured and mentally scarred.
Woo!
I honestly, if these 3 bullies are that terrible with people towards the group, I honestly think the school would be like the students would. That would be a very happy day.
Yeah.
I
just think of, like, The Simpsons. Poochie's dead! Yay! Your bullies
we
are...
must go now.
Your bullies are in the hospital forever. Yay! They're never coming back. Yay! One of them has been driven insane. Yay!
Do we care?
No!
Not really. Yeah, so that's the end of that. And so I take it is the implication here that that's the spirit of the great-grandfather or something?
Mm-hmm. Because he has the same name and looks like him, so obviously genetic resemblance.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense. And, yeah, that's all 7 stories. So... It's a short book, like we said, only 130 pages.
37, yeah.
137, yes. Honestly, this was a good break for me. Stepping away from the Abbey for a little while. And this is I'm not surprised. I'm honestly not surprised this didn't happen more often with Jake's writing. Obviously, we have the Dutchman series, and we have the book that follows this up, sort of. The Riverjack and Curious Other Yarns in 2004, but there are plenty of authors who, even when they're riding high on a prolonged series, they take a step away and do other projects just so they don't lose their creative mojo for the main series. George R. R. Martin has done this. Jim Butcher of the Dresden Files has done this. Stephen King, literally wrote the story Misery as a way to tell fans, calm down, I'm working. And, one of my other favorite authors, Karen Travis, has done this. So, totally cool. Totally cool with it. And as far as this collection goes, yeah, it's kind of a pleasurable couple hours read.
Yeah, this was neat. I don't know, I think I would have... There's definitely stuff in this that would have creeped me out as a kid. And I could totally see, picture an elementary school teacher, reading these off, reading a couple of these stories off to, maybe third graders and stuff like that. As an adult reading it, I'm like, this was neat. I don't know if I'd ever go back to it, like I randomly do with the actual Redwall books, but it was definitely a fun little story, or set of stories.
Let me put it this way, and I have nothing against R.L. Stine. I like his work from Goosebumps, but these are actually, I think, more well put together as short little bits than most of the comic Goosebumps, what I can remember from them. So, now granted, I haven't touched that series in a very long time. So
I can't remember if I ever read the Goosebumps books.
I never did. It just wasn't something that really interested me. But reading through these stories, I very much got a sense of, this is something I would have read and enjoyed for, the small, very tiny thrill of fear that it was sent through me, just because I was thinking about it too much. But I think that's the very essence of being scared as a kid, is because you're overthinking and overanalyzing. If you step back and look at it from the outside, it's like a kid getting accosted by vampires only for one of them to be the very image of his mother. Come on, that's hilarious.
Yeah. And admittedly, the devil's frustrations with that terrible liar kid made me laugh pretty hard too.
I don't know, the nagging vampire mom, I think, was one of my favorite parts.
Oh, yeah. I was laughing pretty hard. So, anyway, but yeah, that was a good break. So, next time, we have to return to the Abbey to see Bella one more time.
Yep. Where we get to read the first Redwall book, where the title of the book has nothing to do with most of the story. Where the titular it's Outcast Redwall, where the titular outcast doesn't actually show up until book 2.
Yeah, and kind of spoils where the story's going to go. So,
yeah.
But if you're one of those readers who have ever wondered if species absolutely determines alignment, well, we're going to talk about that. The other big one is Tegra. So.
All right.
All right, Matthias, thank you for coming back on.
Yep.
Oh, glad to be here.
It was good to hear from you again.
Yes. It was also good to confirm that I'm, not dead once again.
Yes, that was especially good to find out. And it was fun to trade puns with you.
Yes, much to Pete's chagrin. And my grin. Yay.
Oh. I almost if next time I'm off an episode, you guys that should be your entire episode. So.
Puns back and forth.
Pun quarter on the wall.
Yes. I agree to this.
Well, where they can actually find us is we are on a couple places out there. We are on the recorderonthewall.com is our primary website. We are listed on iTunes Podcasts as well as Google Play Podcasts. We engage fans on both the main primary Redwall forums as well as Eulalia. And we have a Twitter, ROTWPOD, on that site. That I usually respond to people on my lunch break.
Cool. well, until next time, take care, everybody.
And save some of that candy for that poor British ghost.
Yes.
I'm not sharing my Smarties. They're mine.